lot of young adults don't have houses. They
I
don't
know.
have, a lot of them don't have apartments. Like, so
I
this is
know.
kind of a small group model that we've tried.
Yeah.
Yep.
And especially for multi-site, it's so easy to multiply. So in the fall, I'm trying to multiply this to where I have a few of my key leaders are from another campus. And so, hey, in the fall, I want you to do a table night at your campus.
Yeah.
I've
Amazing.
given you the playbook. I've tell
Yep.
you which book of the Bible we're going to go through. Here's the questions. Just run it and you can do it. So it just seemed that's what seemed the most repeatable for us and what's really worked and kind of just what the Lord spoke to me to do.
I'm Josiah Keneally. You're tuning into the Young Adults Today podcast. So glad to have you here. Welcome, fam. If you're new or newer, please subscribe. We drop a new episode every Monday as you start and strengthen young adult ministries and discipleship pathways for the next generation in your church, in your community. Again, really glad to have you here. What do you do when your church is multi-site? When you have maybe multiple campuses or locations, or even just multiple small groups within your young adult ministry? Well, we talk about scaling your ministry across different cities, communities, and campuses within your church alongside Derek Wile. He's in South Carolina, and you're going to love some of this insight. It's going to be so practical, and enjoy this conversation with Derek. Hey, fam, it's Josiah Keneally.
And Micah.
And we are the hosts. This is Young Adults Today podcast. Thanks for being here as a listener, as a viewer on YouTube. Derek is our guest. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Of course, I'm so glad to be here. Excited for our conversation today.
Same. And you know what? Like, we can go so many different directions. Where we love to start is to ask every guest, why do you believe young adult ministry matters so much? Why is that so vital in today's day and age, Derek?
Yeah, I think it's because I've had this conversation a lot recently, actually, is because I think for kids, obviously, we have an element of service for them within Sunday mornings. For youth, for students, we have something for them at every church, right? It feels like this generation has become kind of a forgotten group of people to where we see less and less going to college, more and more staying at home, trying to figure out what their purpose is, what they're doing with their life, and they're lost, they're confused. I've had many guys in my group now that have come to me and said, dude, I thank God for this group. Like before this, I didn't really know what God's plan for my life was. I didn't know where I was going. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out on the day-to-day basis. But I think with young adults ministry, you see that group of people where it's like, sure, I've gone through high school. I've done the thing with sports. I've done the thing with music. I've tried this and that, and I feel I'm just in the spot where I don't know what works. I don't know what direction I'm going to go to. And I feel like for me, growing up, like my senior year of high school, towards the end, that's part of my story. It's like I really found God again for myself, and so it's just such a great thing. I know young adult ministry for me helped shape me who I was in college and helped me, define my faith and see that the plan that the Lord had for me. And I think this generation specifically just needs that more than ever. And in a distraction-filled world, they need Jesus. And so I just know that this group of people where it's like we always want to make space because they're the people who are really truly the next step to make the big changes in our world. And so I think they're just so vitally important.
I love that answer. And Derek, I'd be curious to hear and to kind of see like a little bit about your story. Like, was your story impacted due to a young adult ministry, or did you become passionate because it was a need that you didn't have in that season of your life, starting out, making those big decisions and navigating all the questions of life instead of just sitting idle? We're seeing young adults saying like, I want to do something, but I don't know what.
Seriously.
Can
Yeah.
you help me? And I think sometimes we're not counselors. We get to be pastors, but sometimes they just need a cheerleader in their life and
Totally.
just bring the hard questions. So give us a little glimpse into how you became passionate about young adults and just a little bit about your story of how God intervened and how you were called into what you're doing today.
Yeah, well, it all started back. No, I'm just kidding. It's
Way back
been
in yesteryear.
yeah, way back yonder. Well, for me, so as you guys know, I grew up in Minnesota, actually. Now I pastor in South Carolina. I've been here since 2019, but grew up in Minnesota, went to school in Waxahachie, Texas at what was then called SAGU, which is now Nelson University. So went to the Oak School of Leadership there. Met my beautiful wife while we were there. So they have like an internship program, and basically my internship for my sophomore year was to help run the college, help run the school of ministry. And in walks this beautiful girl, freshman class. I was like, little did I know that it was the cousin of one of my best friends at the time. He's like, that's my cousin, bro. It's never gonna happen. I was like, all right, we'll see. And so long story short, we got to know each other.
Wow.
Started, hanging out, dating. Did that for 13 months. We dated and then got engaged when we were super young, still in college. We had actually switched to Southeastern Online because that's when they first started their online program,
Mm-hmm.
way cheaper. So we lived at host homes. Got married when we were 20 and 21. And so after that, we actually moved back to Minnesota to pursue finishing college, but also finding full-time jobs. We worked at a daycare, each of us separate daycares. 4 10-hour shifts a week, plus 15 hours of school, plus I was interning about 20 to 25 hours at Emmanuel. So,
You just
you,
described so many young
yeah,
adults. Everyone
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I get you."
Oh, that's me right now. Yeah, that's my
Exactly.
life. It's like, we see you. Believe me, we know. I've been there. So it was a grind. Thought it was my busiest season. Then you have 3 children. Then you realize what business really is. But so that was just a
That.
crazy season. Like that's, you think you're busy then. Believe me, guys. When you
Uh-huh.
have kids, it's a lot different. So I was busy figuring life out. And that's when I met Pastor Tim Smith. I interned with him, and he was the youth pastor at Emmanuel at the time. And we were praying about what God had for us. My wife from Houston, she hated the cold. That was the year it was like -50 for 4 days in Minneapolis. She's like,
Hmm.
"We got to get out of here, babe." So we prayed about it on a 1 year anniversary trip, and we just felt like for some reason it was South Carolina. We had no opportunities on the table, nothing. So we're like, "What in the world? No
Did
way."
you ever hear the song where it goes like, "Heads Carolina, tails California"? Did you
No,
flip a
Did you
coin?
flip a
Oh,
coin?
I've never heard
The
that
old
song.
country song.
No. But we literally had no opportunities. We just thought South Carolina. And then within a week, her old youth pastor in Houston was a campus pastor at Seacoast in Irmo. So I was like, okay, I pursued that, was in their process. And then one Sunday morning, a week later, Pastor Temple's in his office and he's like, Derek, I'm moving to South Carolina. I want you to help me move and think about coming with me. I'm like,
And had you ever shared with him South Carolina at all?
never. Like I
Okay.
was
Out of
never.
wow.
all the states and places.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Like it was
Wow.
only God, right?
Yes.
And so it happens, and I move with him, and the Lord's like, "This is exactly where I need you. No jobs on the table, nothing." So
Yep.
come back. We end our lease. Like a week later, we drive one of our cars up, 22 hours, no house still, no job. Lead pastor was like, "Hey, I have a garage apartment at my house you can move into for super cheap, and your wife can be an admin at the church, and we can pay you a little bit to be an intern." It's like,
Stop.
okay, God, that's all the answer I needed. And so the crazy thing is that's where I bring the tie in the young adults is my first job here at this church back in 2019 when I came was to help start our young adults ministry.
Amazing.
And so we didn't have anything, or we did, and just kind of back and forth kind of existed, then it didn't exist. And the cool thing is, part of me and my wife's story, again, when we were first dating and getting engaged, was she helped intern, and she was actually the admin on staff for our young adults ministry at the Oaks. And so that just helped form our relationship with the Lord and helped honestly define our marriage from an early on, just like what it means to pastor people. And it was all around young adults and helping build that. So it's ironic that we come here, that's the first job was to help launch that and plan what that's going to look like. And so did that for about 6 months, then became on staff with our early childhood at the main campus. Then in 2020, I went to our North campus. So we have 9 locations here at our church. And so I went to our North campus, which was about 20 minutes away, worked as the kids' youth pastor, then associate pastor there. And then the cool thing is back in last February, so a little over a year ago, came back on staff over here, and now I'm over young adults and some things within our kids department. So I'm technically the next gen associate pastor, but I oversee young adults centrally at all our campuses, and then I launched a kids ministry for specifically third, fourth, and fifth graders here at our main campus. And so just kind of dual rolling it. And then on top of that, we've had 3 kids in that span of time. So
Yes.
we have Walter, who's 4. We have Ren, who is 2.5. And then Willie Rose is our youngest, and she is 4 months. So
My
life's
word.
moving quick. So it's been amazing. But just so blessed to be here. It's always been a part of our story as young adults. And it's cool that the God
Mhm.
did that full circle thing for us. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And seriously, like you described at Faith, what I think Emmanuel has experienced, what I think almost
100%.
every church has experienced. And in your words, it was, well, young adults existed and then it didn't, and then it
Hmm.
exists again. And if we are not intentional and strategic, um, I think that young adults will be in a nearly endless cycle of launching, relaunching, launching, relaunching, launching, relaunching. We found in the
Mhm.
State of Young Adult Ministry a brand new report that will release ASAP across young adult ministries in North America. What we're seeing is that only 5% of young adult ministries are actually established,
Mhm.
meaning 95% of young adult ministries are still emerging. And you then have established churches with an emerging ministry led by an emerging generation.
Yeah.
That is young adult ministry right there. And so I think that a lot of multi-site churches are trying to pilot and strategize. Okay, Emmanuel, 4 locations spanning the Twin Cities from Lakeville to Elk River to Maple Grove to Spring Lake Park. Each of those communities is so different.
Hmm.
And then, whether it's a church with 45 locations that spans 9 states and they're trying to figure out
Yeah.
staffing scalability,
Yeah.
or faith with 9 locations, I think that part of the question becomes scalability.
Hmm.
Part of it becomes, just ethnography. What does each community have to offer?
Mm-hmm.
For
100%.
example, a college town, it's going to look different
Yeah.
than young
Yeah.
professionalville.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try probably dual role, and volunteers is going to be
Mm-hmm.
part of the strategy early on
Hmm.
while you're figuring out what does the Lord have? Can
Yeah.
we bring everyone together?
Hmm.
Or are they spanning such distances that there needs to be maybe a regional approach? And
Yep.
so these are some of the conversations. And, really large churches will call and they'll say on our door with young adults today, they're like, hey, who has cracked the code in multi site? And I'm like, I don't know that anyone has.
Yeah.
Or will, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right,
everything looks so different.
right.
Because you can
Hmm.
scale, but can you sustain?
Mm,
Yeah.
I
It's
think
so
that's the
case by
tension.
case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like even the scaling for our church might look different even than Emmanuel. It's like what
yep,
works for me might work for you, but it might not work for you. Because I think we also feel that tension of where when young adults feels like another thing on some people's calendar, especially within church
Mm-hmm.
staffing, it feels like we're using the same people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who's
right.
running my sound? Oh, he ran sound for youth last night.
Yep,
Oh, he ran sound
exactly.
on Sunday morning.
Yep.
Oh, she leads worship for youth and on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're asking these people. So then you're sustaining and building your own teams within your own ministry. But
Yeah.
then that takes time. And then you're also trying to develop that at a multi-site. It's like it's a beast, man. It's a lot. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of things that we've seen that work and a lot of things we've seen that don't work. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't mind sharing some of those things, especially some of the things that we're doing right now that's been working for us.
Yeah. Take us to Faith Church, and what does church look like, and how have you been able to integrate young adults into the church and not be siloed? Like, have you taken an approach that might be helpful for us and our listeners today?
Yeah, so our church is really cool. We're in the city called Somerville, so we're about 30 minutes outside of Charleston. If you've never been to Charleston, it's the greatest place on earth, man. I love it here. We love it here. I can play pickleball and golf all year round. Don't have to shovel snow. It's amazing. Okay,
Yeah, shovel that
and
sunshine.
yeah, shovel that sunshine. It's like 55 today, so that's why I have to wear my little vest. It's a little cold here.
Oh, must be
So
rough.
yeah, and so, but our church is incredible. We're actually incredibly diverse.
Yeah.
Very multi-generational, very multicultural. We even had a guest speaker a few weeks ago, and he's just like, "Man, this church looks like heaven." And that's just been kind of our
Mm,
lead pastor's heart. And our lead pastor's been here for 40 years. He
Oh,
took this
wow.
church as a church that was struggling to have 50 attenders and had 5 pastors within 5 years, and he took it at
Mm,
about the age of 30. And he's just expanded it, and the Lord has just really breathed on it and blessed it.
wow.
Now we're at 9 locations all across the Low Country, we call it here, spanning from there's we have a few that are within 15 minutes, and we have one that's about an hour and 10 minutes away. So just the Lord's been really moving. We're still growing, still expanding, and we're in the process of where we're actually transitioning our leadership to our lead pastor's son. So that's another thing we're battling and walking through. It's been
yep,
incredible, but it's just something that's being happening right now. And so
for
with our young
sure.
adults ministry, it's like we're having all those things in play, right? We've had nothing. And then when we launched in 2020, we did 3 big events a year. That's kind of all we've done, right? We did
Mm-hmm.
what we call them together nights. And
Yep.
so we'd have a huge budget. We'd bring in a big name speaker. We get all the campuses together at one location to come and try to pack it out. And so that's worked well. We've had big speakers. We were blessed to have Philip Anthony Mitchell like a year ago. Just the Lord's timing, like we've just been incredible. And so had a few really big people packed it out, and there's been sometimes where it's like 200 people, and it's like the numbers don't matter. That's not
Yep.
what it's
Yeah.
about. It's
Yep.
about the Lord being there and blessing and seeing how that works. And so when I came on staff here back in February, I was like, okay, what does it look like to do something more than quarterly? Because these young adults are hungry, and you guys
Yeah.
see
Yes.
it. They want
Exactly.
something
Dead
more.
on the money, Derek.
But we all have capacity, right? It's not like I'm not just going to jump into a weekly experience just
Right.
because they don't even have they barely have quarterly right now. So I'm just going to say every week now we're going to meet, you know what I mean? And so what we planned, I was just praying something we had done actually when I was at the Oaks for a little bit, but we've kind of expounded upon it. We call it the table. So once a month, we come together. So I kind of in the fall semester, we have our big event at the end of August called Together Night. And then in the fall, we did every fourth Monday was our table night. And then now in the winter, we just had our winter together night, February 9th. So now this winter semester, it's been every second Monday of the month. We do what's called table night. And so table night, they come in. I've actually built up a lead team of about 12 people. So I have 12 tables that are set up in our
Mm.
student sanctuary. And so they come in, they pick a table to sit at. I've got these 12 leaders that I've poured into. So I meet with them one other time a month. We have dinner together, we hang out, and I just speak leadership and speak, hey, this is what we talked about last month. This is what we're talking about this month, what, what we're doing, how that's going to look. And so we've been going through different books of the Bible. So we're going through Philippians right now. And
Love
so
it.
it's been stretching for me too, because I'm very much up there. Like I want to have illustrations. I want to be loud. I want to be exuberant. But I'm just really breaking these verses down, books verse by verse, and just going expository style. Like, what does this mean? Because you guys know this is a very biblically illiterate generation, and it's
Hmm.
not changing. And so I'm trying to help them see what it really means to read the word. What is the word
Yep.
really
Right.
saying to me? And so
Yep.
I break this down. Of course, we have games and I give away gift cards and we have fun. We make it competitive at their table to try to win. But really, the win is, we worship together, we do the message, but then the win is the 20 to 30 minutes of conversation right
Yeah.
after.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so they have questions that I built out for them right at their table. My table hosts lead the conversation. It's been
Yep.
amazing. And so they're talking for 20, they're like, Derek, we need more. We need 30, 40 minutes to just talk and break down what we talked about. Then they pray together.
Yeah.
And just the community that's been birthed in those table nights has just been incredible. And I've been able to pour into those leaders. And I've said, hey, some of them are like, Derek, I didn't think I could do this. I was like, dude, the Lord sees it in you. And so I've been
Yep.
able to pour into those people and say, hey, the Lord sees something in you. He wants to use you. And I've told them, I can't do this ministry alone. Me and my wife, Marissa, we can't do this alone.
Hmm.
We
Yep.
need you guys to be the hands and feet of Jesus alongside of us as we build
Yeah.
this ministry. And so we've just seen it be so fruitful. Just people coming and saying, man, this is incredible. And we've seen like small groups in houses just for us. A lot of young adults don't have houses.
I
A lot
know.
Yeah.
of, a lot of them don't have apartments. Like, so
I
this is
know.
kind of a small group model that we've tried.
Yeah.
Yep.
And especially for multi-site, it's so easy to multiply. So in the fall, I'm trying to multiply this to where I have a few of my key leaders are from another campus. And so, hey, in the fall, I want you to do a table night at your campus.
Yeah.
I've
Amazing.
given you the playbook. I've tell
Yep.
you which book of the Bible we're going to go through. Here's the questions. Just run it and you can do it. So it just seemed that's what seemed the most repeatable for us and what's really worked and kind of just what the Lord spoke to me to do.
Yeah. And table nights happen how often?
Once a month. Yeah. So right
Amazing.
now it's happening once a month. So we do
Yes.
August together night, September, October, November. Then we'll take December off. And then
Yep.
we had January. We did one in January. Then we did February, had a big event. March, April, May. June, we'll do some sort of social. So we've done a beach night. We'll do
Yep.
bowling night, something like that. And
Yep.
then July, we're off. And then we're back in August with the big
I
event. And then we
love
kind
that
of roll
model.
from
That's
there.
awesome.
Couple things that really stand out. Number one is you're thinking in rhythms, and
Yep.
life is so seasonal. Even I would argue in South Carolina, because that's the way God's created Earth. Is there
Mhm.
is spring, summer, winter, and fall, and the school year has rhythms. Even in the life of a young adult, college student, young professional, young married couple, life is seasonal. And
Mhm.
they, December, hello Christmas time, or
Hmm.
Thanksgiving, or Chris giving, for people that maybe can't get home for one, but or only one and not both.
Oh,
Right.
dude, we did a Thanksgiving meal for our last one in November. It was a huge win. I got this guy made
Yes,
shredded turkey for everybody, and then I had everyone bring sides. It was so awesome. Like they love
right.
because not everyone gets to go home, and they're college students. Like this is my
Yeah.
Thanksgiving
Yes.
meal,
Yep.
so it was great.
So annual rhythm, thinking through programming, and then, it's this delicate balance. Like I know a lot of churches in Minnesota from Cedar Valley, River Valley, Emmanuel have done some quarterly events, rally nights, together nights, or
Mhm.
quarterly events, whatever you want to call them. And the young adults I meet, the young
Mhm.
adults I talk to are, to your point, Derek, dead on the money. They are craving so much more than like, because if you then maybe miss one,
Mm-hmm.
now it's 6 months or
Yep.
maybe there's a leadership transition, which happens too, just being real. And so
Mm-hmm.
now it's been a year, maybe 2 years,
Yep.
and people are still waiting on that small group to launch.
Mm,
They're
Yep.
still, and so we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I
Mm-hmm.
think we just owe it better to God's kingdom
yeah.
to like, and not even under promise either, but if we're gonna do one, you under promise and over deliver. I think the real answer though is sustainable. And Eddie Manuel, the past year and change, launching a monthly gathering and then connect groups has really worked well.
Mm-hmm.
Full transparency, we're evaluating, and we just did a spiritual life assessment,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
our pastor is asking us, hey, is this going to stay monthly? Or is it going to be more frequent?
Yep.
And young adults just were surveyed last 2 weeks ago, and they're craving more than monthly. But I think
Mm-hmm.
monthly is a great way to launch, especially at multi-site,
Yep.
because you can get people once a month. And what you want to do, in my opinion, is start well at one location.
Yep.
And it's kind of like like Shark Tank. On Shark Tank, you get these people who their pitch is like, well, I want to franchise. And
Yep.
then,
Are you successful with one?
Damon
Yeah.
John is always
Is
like, yeah,
one
like,
profitable?
right.
right?
Like, show me one good bakery first. Show
Yep.
me one that you're
Mhm.
profitable before
Mm.
you get
Yep.
somebody to cash in their life savings, drain the
Yep.
401k,
And
Yep.
start your
leverage
franchise.
their mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
take on the second mortgage, take on the HELOC. Okay. And I think young adult ministry is a little bit like that, like pilot it at one location, one
Mm-hmm.
campus, get it up and running good before you can kind of like you said scale to another campus.
Yep.
And I think that monthly is a great way to
Mm-hmm.
experiment. And
Mm-hmm.
then hey, I think what we're loosely aiming for is what Mark Batterson calls research and development in
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
God's kingdom. A little bit of an experiment, like, hey, in the summer, June, July, August, what if we experiment with twice a month?
Yeah.
And if it fails miserably, well, once a month was
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? But
Scale it back
whoa, if
again.
it really like
Takes
maybe double the opportunity, doubled the leadership team,
Mm-hmm.
I think that those things are things to experiment, to fine
100%.
tune, to pay attention to. Um,
I think both and too, like I think you got because you're doing like a service model right now, like your once a month is just kind of like a traditional service. And so I think what we're trying to piggyback on is like, do I try bi-weekly too? Because I'm like young adults are showing up, they want to be here. The numbers have fluctuated, but I'm like, that's not what I do it. They're
yep,
giving me
Mm-hmm.
good feedback. And the crazy thing is I'm always seeing new people. I'm like, I
Yeah.
always see new faces, but I'm like,
I
why are the new
know.
faces always different? Like the
Yep.
new faces don't always come back. And so I'm like experimenting within the fall if do we do one table night, one service, one table night, one service? And so I think it's a model you guys could even see too. I don't know how
Yeah.
fruitful the home groups have been. Maybe those have been great, but also you can model like, hey, why don't I try this small group kind of at a table situation where once a month it's going to be a service, the other time in the month it's going to be the table night to where it expounds. Maybe the messages even can coincide. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
going through a book of the Bible, and this week we're trying it this way. And then I've even talked to people on our staff like at those service nights, the groups could still get together. Like, hey, your table number is this. Like, go together with your table leader and just pray together. And
Yeah.
instead of a traditional altar, there's cool things that can happen to where I think my fear with young adults ministry, especially in multi-site, I know you guys feel this is like, does it just feel like another location? Like, I don't want this young adults ministry to just be its own church. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
not why we're here because it's twofold, right? Kids ministry, it's for them on Sunday mornings. Like the church service is over their head, right? Students, the sermon on Sundays is even a lot of times over their head. Young adults, they should be getting what's happening in the Sunday morning experience, right?
For
It's
sure.
Right.
it's geared towards them. So this is just icing on the cake, right? This is just another way for them to find community, get connected, learn what it means to really love Jesus and connect with other people and other believers. And some of them go there and find their spouses. Sometimes there's extra things that happen, right?
Yeah.
But it's icing on the cake, right? It's something that not every church has and that we're blessed to do. And so it's stewarding that to where it's this fine-tuned balance to where it's like, I don't want this to be another campus or church, but I also want this to be a tool that young adults can use and thrive in
Right.
community. So I know it's a tension you guys walk through. So I don't know
Oh,
if how you guys have balanced that as well.
completely. Young adult ministry cannot be a separate silo. It can't
Yeah.
be a church within a church. It shouldn't just be youth group 2.0 either.
Right.
No. No.
And I think that what it should be, and we just did a spiritual life survey to find out at Emmanuel, like, hey, what's
Why do you
like,
keep coming back?
right.
Yeah.
And what we found across the US in a survey,
Yeah.
75% of young adult ministries, their pastors said that it's community that brings young adults out to begin with and keeps them coming. You know, then on a local basis, what we're seeing is I think it's around 70% of young adults who come to First Tuesday or Emmanuel Young Adults, they're actually new within the past year.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
30% is maybe leadership college students, it's
Mm-hmm.
people who've grown up at Emmanuel, but 70% is actually brand new young adults.
Hmm.
It's wild to see 88% of them say that they feel cared for by 1 to 2 people. And
Wow.
so sometimes pastors' objections, sometimes a lead
Yeah.
pastor, an executive pastor would say, well, like, you know, do we need a young adult ministry? Why do we need a young adult ministry? And my response is just a question, when did you get married?
Mm.
And so for Derek, how old were you when you got married?
I was 21. My wife was
21.
20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was 25, Micah was 30, but for many pastors, let's just say they're 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 30 years since they went on a first date.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were married before dating apps were ever a thing.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
delayed adolescence has surged so much. Fewer marriages are happening. Fewer
Mm-hmm.
people are waiting to get married if they get married. And
100%.
then it's still a desire for a lot of people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fewer kids are being born and people are postponing having children. And so when you look at some of the cultural moment, it just provides like, whoa, you know, we talked with a local business that wants to donate pizzas to our after party.
Mm.
And we were just explaining, like, we get to serve so many 18 to 30-year-olds, and are like, that's why we wanted to donate, is
Mm.
because, like, we want
Mm-hmm.
to help care for a third space.
Wow.
You know, like, their business can't exactly start a third space for young adults, but they
Yeah.
can partner with somebody who's serving them.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's
so
really
I
cool.
just think the need is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Well, Derek, I know that our time's coming to an end, but we're gonna put about 5 minutes on the clock, maybe 3.5 if we could, for the 5 and 5 challenge. Are you ready for a challenge? It's like the home run derby here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best.
Try your best. All right, warm it up here. Question number one: what is the best advice you've ever received?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I think honestly, it's something my mom always told me was just think before you say. I think as an extrovert, and I tell it to my kids all the time. I think as an adult, it's the same thing. Just think before you say things because words have so much power.
Good.
And so what you say to people really matters. And so think about those things that you're saying. And what would Jesus say to people? Don't just think what Derek would say. So I think that's definitely some of the best advice I've ever been given.
Wisdom.
My.
For the extrovert.
Okay. If you could say something, what would your words of advice be to a young adult ministry leader, maybe a
Mm,
pastor tuning in, somebody who's got the call on their life? Pick a number. They're 21, they're 22. What words would you choose for them?
I would just say, really the words that come to mind are just, we are human beings. We're not human doings. Jesus wants to be with us and he wants our time. I think so much of growing up and trying to make it in ministry was chasing, goals and dreams and being on stages and speaking to lots of people, but I was missing being with Jesus. And so I
mm-hmm.
think the time just being with the Lord is when he's spoken to me, he's given me new ideas, he's given me fresh revelation of who he is. So just knowing that being with Jesus is what really matters, and that my number one priority is Jesus, and number two is my family and my
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Yes.
And then number three is the church. The ministry will never outweigh my family. My family is always my first ministry. So I'm never going to forget that. And I tell somebody young in ministry, like, whenever you have a family, make them the number one priority, not the church.
That's good. Don't sacrifice your family and marriage in the process of serving
Never.
the people before you. All right, here's the curveball right here. If you could ask Josiah and myself a question today, what would you want to ask us? You can be the
Okay.
host for a second here.
Okay. I had one ready. Just remember. Okay. So, how do you think you're going to go from going monthly into maybe searching out a bi-weekly experience, and have you navigated that conversation, and what, because that's kind of something I'm implementing and looking at implementing now, and what does that look like in your current context to where jumping from that monthly experience into kind of a bi-weekly experience, what that could look like.
Yeah. You gonna talk?
Let's
You want to
let's
jump
tag
on the
team
mic?
it.
Okay.
Let's tag
He's
team
like,
it.
he's like, he's like, oh,
Like our pastor, who Pastor Nick,
yeah,
he's asked us like 2 or 3 times about it.
yeah.
Subtly.
He's like, well,
Subtly.
you could if you
And
wanted
there
to.
is the blessing
Yes,
there.
Yeah,
There is,
100%.
it fits within the vision. And
yeah,
so that's number one for us. And then we've started with like the key stakeholders in change leadership. First was like the worship leader.
mm-hmm,
Second was, okay, there's Emmanuel Leadership College. So
yeah,
we met with the key stakeholders of like the pastor of Emmanuel Leadership College,
yeah.
Pastor Jess, to get kind of her insight. I think checking in with young adults, the survey, some of the
Yeah, I need to
interviews.
get some info on how you did that survey. I need that from you. That sounds like it was a
We
huge
can,
win.
yeah, we'll link a blank.
Okay,
I'll send it to you personally, but we'll link a blank one
okay.
to it in
That's
the
great.
show notes.
So I'm sure lots of
Um,
people could, utilize that because
yeah,
that seems like a really good tool.
Mm-hmm. I would say birth everything we want to be birthing has to be bathed in prayer. Like we have to just
Mm-hmm.
bathe it in prayer. And like
Yeah.
starting in prayer, blessing like Josiah talked about, in addition to that, what is the heartfelt need of the young adults in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they just lonely because they're choosing to only attend this when church is every week? Are they plugged into a life group or a
They don't want
Bible
to hear
study
that. They
or
don't want to
whatever?
hear that.
I know it, right? Or whatever you got going. So it's like we evaluate what are the touch points and opportunities for young adults that are built into the church at large, and what can we as a young adult ministry provide for them?
It's
Because if
really
we
good.
give them too many options, they don't have
Mm-hmm.
FOMO of this generation. They have
No,
FOBO.
they do
Fear
not.
better options are like, well, you're good enough for me
100%.
tonight. And I'm like, no, this is a priority. We made this for
The
you.
Love is
I don't
Blind
need this
finale is
group.
on tonight. I can't come to
Yeah.
young
See?
adults. It's
We'll
like,
put them on the
that's
big
not,
screen. No,
yeah, come on. What do you mean?
but we're really
Just
just
once a month.
evaluating like, do we have the people that we need, and do we have the leadership teams in order to
Yeah,
serve the young adults well, and not
yeah,
just provide another thing, but
yeah.
what is the level of intentionality, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
what you have to ask yourself. Is it just to put
Yeah,
another thing to keep them out of trouble, or are we teaching them sound biblical principles
yeah.
pointing to the character of Christ as well as
Mm-hmm.
the Bible?
Yeah,
Are we teaching them how to pray? Are we
yeah,
teaching them how to be a friend and make a friend?
yeah,
Are we teaching them how to initiate conversation and put something on the calendar without us, like beyond the table, like
yeah.
outside of this table that we've set for you?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to feed
Yeah.
your
That's why I
soul
push my
and
table
keep
leaders
you
like
happy?
meet with your table outside of
Yes.
once a month. Go
that's
get
Yes.
so
food with
good.
them.
The
Go
other
get ice
three,
cream
go
with
do
them.
something. We already
Go
have
do
that night
something.
set aside. So
Yeah, and push
I
those
think
people to be
it's
in prayer and learning and growing
100%.
and helping other
Yep.
people learn and grow and be the extension of what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think the last piece is just like, okay, if we want to double, like the need is not for Micah and I. We don't need more things to do.
Mm-hmm.
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 However, we're like asking God, you've put this as an assignment for us to steward.
Right.
Yep.
So are we doing all you've called us to do?
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't want to subpar.
And
Mm-hmm.
then in that process, we've kind of arrived on this anthem. It's on our whiteboard: double the team, double the opportunity.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
really good.
and so like why? Well, and even we met with the interns yesterday about it, and they're like, well, if somebody misses one First Tuesday, they've got to wait 2 months minimum to see people and to build that
Mm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
to double the opportunity, then I think it also is like it's going to take some different volunteers getting involved, but their answer to us when we just asked it as a question,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, hey, the young adults are here, they just need to be asked. So
Mm-hmm.
double the team, double the opportunity. That's kind of how
Mm-hmm.
we've processed it.
Well, and I would say one person, our friend Danny, he's down in Texas, and he started with once a month for one
Mm-hmm.
whole year. And he saw that the need was growing. So he said, okay, we're going to do every other week for 1 year. And then they
Mm-hmm.
went to 3. And now I think they're still meeting. Now they're
Weekly.
meeting weekly, 4
Yep.
years
Wow.
later.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you're integrating it in slow intervals where it's not like pulling the rug out from under everybody or
Or
crickets.
trying to launch and you don't even have a team yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Or you just
is
run
the
you're running everyone dry because it's like they're
yes.
doing everything else, and you
Yeah.
got to build something within your ministry to where it's not just this, like we said at the beginning, it's not just the same people doing the same things. It's like I
Yep.
built up my own production team. I built
Yep.
up a worship leader to do worship, where it's not like I'm pulling from the same bin for everyone to do everything.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say with this, anybody listening, is what care structure for your volunteers do you have in place? Like, what is the care structure? Because I think we we like treat people unfairly sometimes, pulling from different ministries, not realizing how many yeses are on their plate. And then we don't appreciate them. So they're overworked, underappreciated,
Yeah.
and then they don't want to be a part of the ministry as young adults. So
What are you doing
what is
for
the
them? Like,
career
are you feeding,
structure?
like for my team, I give them a meal. Like I'm literally
Yeah.
feeding them a meal.
Yes.
I'm
Beautiful.
pouring into them, not just talking about
Yeah.
what we're doing as a ministry, but I'm literally going to spend time and
Retreats.
give you your
Time
own
away. Yep.
devotional geared to
Yep.
your life, share what your dreams are and how I can help you achieve your dreams. As simple
So
as
good.
finances, relationships, where I'm like pouring into them directly, where it's not just asking them for more and more, but they're also, it's a give and take, right? They're receiving some things and it's a blessing to them, like it's a blessing as us to be the leaders of those ministries. And
Yeah.
so I've seen fruit from that for sure.
Love
Wow.
it.
Back to you, Derek. In life, in family, following Jesus, and then in ministry, one of the things that we've noticed is people need hobbies and they need friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us, what is your favorite sports team? Who do
Oh,
you follow? You've lived in a variety of great
no.
cities.
You opened a
Who
can of worms here. I'm a sports fanatic. I tell my wife there's sports and then there's sports fans. I'm a sports fanatic. And so I do not miss a Timberwolves game. We finally won last night. Praise the
Oh,
good Lord after
wow.
losing 4 out of 5 without
Yep.
Anthony Edwards. So I'm a huge Timberwolves Vikings fan.
same,
Those are
same.
my number 1 and number 2 teams for sure. Baseball I'll watch here and there. Hockey I'll watch here and there. But football, Vikings and Timberwolves, I do not miss a game. Love, love, love sports. Personally, I love pickleball. I play pickleball 3 to 4 times a week. Just obsessed with it. My wife is not obsessed with it, but I am. And she's like, it's okay. It's your outlet. And so I love pickleball, golf, play pickup basketball. Sports is my thing. Love it. And so that's really, yeah, Timberwolves and Vikings. You're speaking my language.
It
So fun.
matters to you, so it matters to her.
100%. Thank you. I'll show her this when it airs, babe. Watch it because Josiah said it matters. So you got to
And then
come play
what
with me.
matters to her is important to you.
Exactly.
There you go.
100%.
Oh my gosh. Okay, last question. If you could leave and go on a trip with your family anywhere in the world that you have not yet been, where would you want to go and take your family?
Oh, this is a tough. You were hit me with some tough ones. So there's a few we've been debating. I mean, obviously we'd love to do like go to somewhere in Europe, like Hungary or somewhere that has those train rides. Have y'all seen that where you go through like
Yeah.
Yep.
Switzerland on a
Oh my
train?
gosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. If I had money wasn't an option, like Switzerland on a train with my kids would just
Wow.
be unbelievable. But I think more that I could actually afford and maybe do one day was we'd love to go to New York City at Christmas time with our kids. It's like we're not huge like Disney people, so it's like if I'm gonna spend the money, and I know New York City isn't the safest place on earth, but like people do it, and like
Yeah.
it's magical. And so it's one of our dreams is like, do we want to go just me and my wife, or want to bring the kiddos? But we love traveling; it's our thing. And so that's just something I'm like, I'm gonna save money and do a trip because making memories. You guys know, raising little kids, making memories matters so much. And so I think one of those two things would be
Memories over memorabilia.
Whoa.
We've been saying in our
come
house.
on.
No
Come
more
on.
stuff and toys. We're gonna go make
You
a
don't-
memory. Take
Oh,
a
we're
photo.
just throwing
and add it
toys
to the
away
book.
left and right here. We're just like, we don't have time. We don't have room for this. We don't
I
need it. You
know.
play with it 3 times and you throw it away. You don't ever use it.
I just saw on Instagram this lady with a trash bag. They're like, any mom with a trash bag, you better be ready for anything to go.
They
And I'm
flip it
like,
open.
oh, that's how I've been feeling. Spring cleaning. It's right around the
Yeah.
corner.
Yes. Clear it out. Clear it out.
Oh, too
100%.
funny.
Well, yo, Derek, we just want to acknowledge you. Thanks for your faithfulness in leadership, your passion for young adult ministry. Thanks for this conversation.
Yes.
Of course. You guys are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
And check out the show notes because we will link that survey that you can use for your young adult ministry to kind of scale where they're at spiritually and what they're looking for and needing at large that maybe you can cater to that. So thank you so much for joining us on the Young Adults Today podcast. Hey everybody, this is Mike with the Young Adults Today podcast. And I just want to say a special thank you to all of you who've been praying and supporting, come alongside us and in this ministry. We couldn't do it without you, and we're just trying to keep up. I keep saying that because you know what? God is on the move, and young adults are on the move, and so are the leaders of those young adults. And we just got off of a leader conference here in Minnesota. We had people from all over the U.S. come in right before a blizzard came in. So we're grateful that everybody was able to get there and to leave safely. But one of the amazing things is seeing how God's hand of favor works on the different teams, from worship to all the speakers, and just like the little bit of information that people would share from the stage and behind the scenes is just a reminder. There was a constant theme that was let's go back to our first love. And for 2026, our mission for this year just has been so focused on God and what He's doing and what He's wanting to do. And it's called No Turning Back. So we challenge leaders like there's no turning back. Like God has assigned you, He's put you on this mission, He's moving things forward. He wants to encourage you, He wants to inspire you. And God did that through the sharpening of brothers and sisters around small tables in the Minnesota area and beyond. And we're just so grateful for all the things that God is doing and just the things He was speaking. He's encouraging young adults. And just to kind of give you a visual, we had roundtable discussions, we had different speakers come in, and the undercurrent theme truly was no turning back. And it was also reminding us to go back to our first love, that we should be leaders that draw from the well and provide an opportunity for the sheep to be fed and watered. And it was just an amazing opportunity. So if you're ever in the area and you are a young adult ministry leader, we do one in the Midwest. We're on the West Coast coming up in California in the Irvine area coming up this summer. And we just want to get those resources in your hands. And this is a great opportunity for you to come alongside other leaders and just be challenged, be encouraged, and to know that you are not in it alone and there's no turning back.